Hey, howdy, hey, and welcome to another episode of Disney Assembled. I'm Troy,
And I'm Mimi.
and we are your happy little father daughter podcast, here to create joy and share our love for all things Disney.
Disney Assembled is sponsored by our patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to join them, check out patreon.com/DisneyAssembled.
Yeah, we'd appreciate your consideration there. Membership starts as little as $2 a month. And with that $2 a month, you get access to all the exclusive patron only content that you have come to know and love and enjoy and all that good stuff, right? So
Yes, absolutely.
So Mimi, we have a very special show. It's Sunday, September 15th, which is normally our shows come out on Sunday. This show is not going to make it on Sunday. It'll come out
Oh, yeah.
later this week. And it's going to be hard for us to keep a consistent day because of the scheduling that we have to do to get you, you know,
Right.
in college and recording and doing all that good stuff, which is fine. But we're going to have an episode this week. And it's going to be a great episode this week because I just got back last night, September 14th, from Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Yay!
No, yeah. The
I
main
did.
reason
I
that
was
this episode is late is because we're deciding to do an immediate trip report instead of a trip report a week later. So, sorry to the viewing public
yes.
for your late
So,
episode.
and it's going to be sort of an unusual trip report. That's okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
We
It's an
we're going to have
unusual trip. It's different.
a little bit different, and part of it is because I was actually there to attend the Disney Institute for 4 days. I did a 4 day seminar on outstanding guest experiences or guest satisfaction, and it was a fantastic time. And yeah, so not many podcasts I've heard have talked about the Disney Institute. So we're going to talk about the Disney Institute today. We're going to talk about what it is. And I'm going to walk everyone through sort of my experience with the Disney Institute during that week. I did some other stuff um, outside of the Institute while I was there. And I think we're going to save a lot of that content maybe for our patrons. We haven't done a patron only episode in a while, but I think maybe
Mhm.
we can reveal some of that other stuff to our
Over there.
patrons. So if you like this episode and you're not a member of our Patreon family and you'd like to hear some other exciting details about my time in Florida, um,
Hit up the
including
Patreon.
right. Join the Patreon, including maybe even some Halloween stuff from Walt Disney World. So there we go.
Heck
And if
yeah.
you're watching, and I think we might put this version on the YouTube channel because we are
Yes.
streaming with each other on StreamYard. We have the video because there's some things I want to show people that is related to my time last week. Show you maybe some stuff for the first time that you haven't gotten because I haven't shown you anything, right? I got back last night
Nope.
late.
I have
And
no
so
idea. I've really only talked to Papa very briefly about the trip. So I heard maybe 2 stories, got sent some pictures with no context, but I really haven't heard about a whole lot of anything. I do just wanna say very quickly that if we do end up putting this on YouTube, to all the YouTube people, um, welcome to my dorm room. This is my side. Clearly, if you can't tell by the Minnie Mouse ears hanging on the wall right there and the general dysfunction and inability to keep a theme that is compared to my roommate's gorgeous, like put together collage,
mm,
I have a mess.
it's all good.
But it's my
Smooth
mess and
sailing.
it's cute and it represents me. So welcome to my home, you could
Very
say.
good. Yeah.
It's
Well,
not home.
congratulations. It's looking good and it's neater than my dorm room ever was. So it's all good. But yeah, so we'll have my little report about the Disney Institute, which was fantastic. And we'll talk all about that. We will have our Disney Dad joke of the week. I got something floating in my face. For those of you watching on the YouTube, I apologize. And we'll also do, in addition to that, we'll do our trivia answer for last week, which I think our friend Andrew got right again. He's
That's
like
awesome.
either he's reading about it or I think I don't know. But
Well,
yeah, we'll get
we can
the
kick off with
answer.
that. Let's start with
Okay,
that.
we kick off there. All right. So do you have last week's question and answer? You ready to
I
go with it?
do, yeah.
All right.
So last week's question was, what is Chad's jersey number in High School Musical? And it was a multiple choice question. Answer choice A, 15, B, 99, C, 36, or D, 8. And the correct answer was D8. So Andrew got it correct. Little claps for Andrew, smartest person we know. I will say
Congratulations.
that the reason I think Andrew is getting all of these correct, because the last two have been about High School Musical, and Andrew was like raised or like was like a young adult youth person when those movies were coming out. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I could give you every single detail about Teen Beach Movie, and I haven't seen them in years because those came out when I was like that age. So
It
yeah,
was all during a
pretty
time
cool.
when I was not interested. So
Yeah.
didn't see a whole lot of that, but good stuff. So
After you and
congratulations,
a little
Andrew.
bit before me.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll have another trivia question at the end of this episode. So listen so you can get little claps and answer the question. It's a good question. It's not a High School Musical question because we did High School
It
Musical
is
questions 2 weeks
not.
in a row. And so, yeah, we'll get to that. And we'll have a fun conversation about the Disney Institute before that. But we also have to have this week's Disney Dad joke, which I created. I thought of this joke while in Disney World. So this is a special Disney Dad joke of the week because its origin is actually Disney World.
It's
I was inspired while
original
I was there. So,
to
are you
Troy,
ready?
to Papa. Yes, I
I
am
did.
ready.
So you're ready. Are you sure you're ready? Are you absolutely ready?
Mm-hmm.
You are ready. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Disney fans of all sorts, it is time for this week's Disney Dad joke of the week. Mimi.
Yes.
Um, Simba. When his father got trampled by a bunch of wildebeests, remember
Embarrassing.
when Simba was there? And Simba was crying, real tears. It was sad. He was feeling really bad.
Do
Do
animals
you
have
know
real
what?
tears?
What?
Do animals have real human tears?
This one
Is
did.
that
This
okay?
was tears, real tears. Simba
Okay.
was crying really hard. So, do you know what he used to dry his eyes?
Mm, no.
Scar tissues. Get it?
Yeah. That
Scar
one's really
tissues. ''Cause Scar
good.
was responsible for
Yes, I
Mufasa,
really like
and
that
he was
one.
there, and the tissue, scar tissue. So there you go.
That one's
That's this
very
week's Disney Dad joke of the
unique.
week. Yep,
That was
that's this
good.
week's. Yep, yep. This week's Disney Dad joke of the week. That is it. We're talking over each other. I think there's a delay in here, but
Yeah, there is a delay.
a little bit of a delay, right? We have this janky Burger King Wi-Fi at our house, so that must be the problem. So that is this week's Disney Dad Joke of the Week. If you have a dad joke of the Disney variety you'd like us to consider using on the show, please send it to us, disneysymbol@gmail.com, or on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads,
TikTok.
TikTok, and X, Facebook, all at Disney Assemble.
You
As a matter
said
of fact,
Facebook.
I will tell you this. I put a TikTok up
That's the
of
first TikTok in
something
a
I saw
while.
on the I put a TikTok up yesterday, I think it was, of something I saw while I was on my trip. I'm not going to give it away. If you want to check out our Disney Assembled TikTok channel, you can see it there. Over 6,000 views. Not 250 like normal, over
Whoa. Like
6,000.
no.
And we have picked up dozens of new followers on TikTok as a result. So thank you for
Huh.
following us on TikTok. If you're
Our
there
TikTok
on
does that.
TikTok.
We go through like random bursts of follows on TikTok.
But I'm
That's
not
very
kidding you.
cool.
6,000. 6,000. I'm going to check right
Huh.
now. As a matter of fact, I'm going to check live
Delay of
on the
game.
this is good radio, by the way.
TikTok looking. This is
This is
not
good
good
radio.
radio. Radio is not something you can see.
6,425 views on that last, well, not the last TikTok I did, but you
Wait,
should check it out.
625 views?
6,425 views of the
That's
one I put up yesterday.
crazy.
It's
Okay,
crazy.
speaking of
Crazy.
radio, sorry, I need to tell the public.
You have a big
I
announcement, don't you?
I do, yeah. So I have taken this podcasting radio audio gig into the real world. I am doing I'm on the audio staff for the Daily Texan, which is the like student newspaper here, but it is the most successful, most distributed, most well-read student newspaper in the country. It's one of the most like second to like the Yale Daily News. It's up there and it's not easy to get into. So I'm on the audio staff doing podcasting for my school's student media. I'm very, very excited. So this has really
Congratulations.
changed me fundamentally to be able to do like take our little show and like my experience and like bring it into a more professional setting. I will say though, they script all of their episodes.
And we do not.
No, we don't at all. And so I'm like learning how to do like podcasting in a completely different method than I ever have done before. But my audio editor is very into the idea of trying new things. So I might talk her into not doing a script. Like I'll hand her a transcript. Like I will transcribe my episode, but I don't really want to script it. But I haven't even like officially started yet. I start on Thursday. So yay.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Little claps for you. Good job. Isn't it cool that this thing has turned into something pretty important? Good job. Congratulations.
Very cool. Yeah. Thanks.
Excellent.
So yeah.
Well, if anyone wants to congratulate you, they can send us a message at Disney Assembled.
Or you can just send us money on
by joining the Patreon.
Hey, you
can do it by Patreon.
If you want to congratulate me, send Disney Assembled money. Thank you.
Or you can just say congratulations. Either way, it's fine.
You know who
All right, let's talk about the Disney Institute. I was there.
We can talk about the Disney Institute.
What?
Well, I was just going to make it.
Who does not want you what?
You know who does not want me to be doing audio, radio in the real world? That one guy from April of 2021 who gave us a bad review and said that I was annoying. That guy. I want you guys to know that in April of 2021, I was 16 years old.
I'm sure he's changed his mind by now.
I was a baby. That was so funny. I think about that review often, not because it makes me sad, just because I think it's funny.
Well,
I genuinely couldn't care if people don't like our show. I care if people like our show, but I don't care if they don't like the show. Does that make sense? Like it's for us.
People have plenty of choices. People have plenty of choices for how to use their time. If they choose to use it with us, fantastic. If they don't, that's fine too.
Anyway, let's talk about the Disney Institute. I'm excited to hear about it. I don't know. I've never attended the Disney Institute. You've done something that the public doesn't know, but you have said to me my entire life, when I've accomplished new things, you will say to me, I've never done that. You've now done something that I've never done before. And I'm like very proud of you. Like you've said that to me my whole life. And now I'm like saying it back. Like I've never done that. I've also never stayed at the Contemporary. Like, please talk about that.
Well, why don't you just tell everyone the whole story since you're getting into it?
Tell me about the Contemporary.
All right, so let's talk about the Disney Institute, and I'll talk all about my time there. And then feel free to ask questions as we go along. So pretend like you're a listener and you can ask questions. And at the end of the show, people can find out from you how to ask me questions if they like. But the Disney Institute, which some people may not know even exists, has been around for decades. It's been around for 30 plus years, I believe. And it is essentially Walt Disney, the Disney companies, because it's not just parks. It's like all of the Disney Corporation. It is sort of their professional development wing of their company, right? So they do professional development for people in any industry, really. I mean, I am there as in the education industry, but there were people there in government jobs. There were people there from NASA. There were people there from there were car salesmen, like a car dealership had a couple of people there. There were people there from all over the world. We had people at this event from Australia that had come all the way from Australia to do this training. Actually, they're staying in the US for like 6 or 8 weeks, right? They're doing like big giant vacation, but they were here for this. So people from all over, other educators. I met a wonderful gentleman from the University of Maryland College Park, who works in, I think he's the vice president of their agriculture department. So there's all kinds of industries there. I met 2 participants that were from the Jet Propulsion Labs, and they do tours for dignitaries from all over the world and members of Congress. And I mean, so there were 3 guests that attended with me from Brazil. 2 of them, I think, worked in the medical industry. So a wide variety of people from all over the planet every industry, but Disney Institute basically does 3 courses. They do the guest experience course, which is the one I did. They have an employee engagement course, and they have a leadership excellence course. So there are 3 courses. They have 1-day offerings and they
Isn't
have
your
3-day offerings.
isn't your
And
PhD in leadership excellence? Isn't that what your PhD is
yes.
in? That
Mhm.
is so cool.
Yeah,
I
in
don't know if
school
you guys
leadership.
knew that. Disney Assembled fans, my dad is a doctor. I don't know if you guys knew that. He is a
Yeah,
doctor.
I am Dr. Troy.
Sorry. Dr. Troy.
So
And I make sure everyone knows
so
it too. Continue.
So the gist of it is the Disney Institute. It is courses. It's very interactive. It's very engaging. And I was there for a 3-day course at the Walt Disney World Resort in Florida on guest experiences, right? How to make the
Mhm.
best possible guest experience. And so it was the first night. It was from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till the evening through dinner, and then it was 2 full days. And then on the third day, it wasn't quite a full day. It went to like 3:30 instead of 4:30, so they cut it about an hour short. But it's essentially like 4 days of training when you look at all the hours that we put in. Um, it focused a lot on how Disney it designs, and there's an architecture to how they train all of their cast members to engage with the guests to have an excellent experience. And the gist
Mhm.
of the course is around the design of the guest experience, the what they want to design, like the actual putting together of this is what we do, the deliverance of those items, and then what to do to recover if there's a bad experience. So what do we do to help a guest? How do we recover that guest's um, experience if something goes wrong? And the whole thing was just wonderful. I mean, the conference room was fantastic. I'll get into some details in a minute. I'm just giving you an overview, right?
Mhm.
They talked a lot about the 5 keys of the
Right, you told me
Disney
about
service
those.
brand. Well, they added the
So wait,
key
this
called
is
inclusion.
right. This is Papa's second Disney Institute experience. So they were doing a traveling 1 day thing on the 5 keys of leadership, and he attended that. And that was
Yeah,
in what, in like 2020,
that was
but
a
right
long time
before the
ago.
world shut down. Like it was
It was
before
before the
COVID.
pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. And it that's it's like how he got into the Disney Institute. And so the
Mhm.
4 keys thing is something that I've been aware of. Continue.
Right. So back then it was about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and that was the 4 keys. They now have 5 keys, and that was a 1-day workshop. This thing that I just did was much more in depth than that one
Mhm.
day workshop was.
Okay, yeah.
But so yeah, on the first day, we arrive. There's a reception. There's a room set up for us. Um, there was food and drinks, and the room itself had tons of really neat design to it. It was almost like a research library, but a Disney style library. Kind of like if Mickey Mouse had a library in his house, the room was set up like that. It had like a drawing desk with a bunch of Disney artifacts all over it. Like they had Thor's hammer, and they had a Donald Duck toy, and it was almost like somebody was drawing on it. And there were a bunch of
Very cool.
screens set up all over the room. And during the reception there was a presentation, and all the screens would come on at different moments, and there was lots of magic and pixie dust and video, and it
Mhm.
was really really cool. And then some secret doors opened. Really, it was like you didn't realize they were doors. It was like a wall, and it opened up into the actual conference room that we would be learning in. And there were these really cool chairs that everyone got, and tables, and it was set up to be very interactive. And again, there were screens like right in front of you and on the sides, with different Disney things all over the room. Very professional. It wasn't like kitschy. It was a very professional business look. We could take pictures in the room, but we could not video or take pictures of the video screens themselves.
Okay. No, that makes
So,
sense.
but anything they put on the screen, they gave us like a book, and we have the book with all the slides and all the stuff in it that they put on the screen that they gave it to
Very
us in
cool.
print. So that's the basic setup. And on the first day, again, we had our reception. They said they had a special treat for us, and we didn't know what was going on that night. They basically loaded us all up on a bus the first night and drove us backstage to Epcot. And then no
Like,
one
not
knew
on
we
the
were going to
bus
go to the
route?
parks. Not on the regular bus route. We went backstage where no one is allowed to go. And that's the route. They took us there and they dropped us off. We had our own special security entrance with there was like a dog, like a security dog, that everybody had to walk past the dog, and the dog was like checking, but obviously nobody had
Well,
anything
yeah,
on
no
them.
one had anything on them. Yeah.
So here's one thing
Very
I
well.
learned. Here's a little backstage tip. Here's something I learned as we were driving to Epcot backstage. There was a building back there that and there were two Disney Institute trainers. Um, their names were Marjorie and Mauricio.
Mhm.
Marjorie was from Haiti, and Mauricio is originally, I think, from Brazil. No, not from Brazil, from Venezuela. And Marjorie actually, at one point, was a Disney ambassador. One of those people they pick every year to go out and travel the world and be sort of an
Right.
ambassador of the Disney brand. She is a former ambassador. So, one thing I learned on the bus ride to Epcot, it was a building that Maurizio pointed out to us, and he said, "This is a building for healthcare, like for cast members." And he said, "And it's not just like a first aid center. Like, it's a real doctor's office with a real pharmacy." He goes, "In other words, my personal physician operates out of that building. So when I'm
Hmm.
here, if I have a doctor's appointment, if I have to fulfill a prescription, I don't have to drive off site. All of my healthcare needs are housed in." It's like essentially Disney's own little cast member medical center. Like, if you want to
That's so
choose to use
interesting.
their medical stuff.
That makes me
So
wonder, like, how much time truly goes into being a cast member, not just like a hourly cast member, but like being someone who actually works like in the administrative side. Like how does a demand like where does the demand for a doctor's office like come from? Like does everybody live on property? Like
there,
no.
there's there. I mean, it's a convenience thing. So,
It's
so the
so
first night we get there,
fascinating.
we entered into Epcot. I didn't know we were entering because you can't tell. We're just backstage. It's just
You
like
didn't know where you were.
work vehicles and cars and everything. But when
Yeah.
we came, they walked us through this door, and we walked through this little walkway. And where we ended up in was we were in the China Pavilion. We actually came in through the back way in through
Huh.
the China Pavilion, and
Interesting.
then they took us out.
Like
Like,
back behind the big red temple, like behind all of that. That is so cool.
yeah, yeah, behind all that stuff, and we came in through the gift shop, and there was like a doorway that we can come through, and we exited
Oh.
out into the main area of World Showcase, turned right, and they brought us into Norway, and they had set up a really nice dinner for us in a private dining room on the second floor of the Norway Pavilion, looking out
Hmm.
into the park. Now we couldn't see out into the park because the curtains are drawn because they don't want people looking up into the room, right?
Right.
But it was a private dining room with some outstanding. First of all, the food, the entire time, the food was fantastic. I'm not going to talk about all the food we had, but it
Mhm.
was absolutely fantastic. The food was great everywhere, every meal, top notch. I mean, the catering and the food was fantastic. So we ate
Yeah.
our dinner. And when dinner was over, they had another surprise for us. They had roped off a special viewing area for Luminous, the
Huh.
nighttime spectacular, right out front of the Norway Pavilion just for us. So everyone got to watch the fireworks show at the end of the night. Then they walked us back through China. We got back on the bus backstage. They drove us back to the Contemporary. Goes, by the way, the entire course was at the Grand Ballroom in the Contemporary Resort, and I actually stayed in one of the garden wing rooms of the Contemporary Resort.
Talk
Um,
a little bit about what the contemporary is like. Like, go on a side tangent. What was it
Let
like
me talk
staying at the
about
Contemporary?
here's my honest opinion of the Contemporary. It's a really nice resort, and it's really cool with the monorail going through it, and the dining options there are pretty good. I mean, they're not terrible. They're pretty good dining
Chef
options.
Mickey's.
I did not eat at Chef Mickey's,
Chef
but I did eat at the Contempo
Mickey.
Cafe, which is their quick service. But there's a bunch of restaurants there. There's California Grill, which is a high-end meal. There's Steakhouse
Yeah,
71, which is a really good restaurant. I didn't get to go to
yeah.
any of those, but the Contemporary was fine. What I will say is it was themed to the Incredibles, which was kind of neat. It wasn't over the top, but it was well done. I would say this: of the 3 deluxe resorts right there, I don't think I would ever pick it above the Polynesian unless I wanted to walk to the Magic Kingdom, because you can literally look out on the balcony of the Contemporary and you're looking into Tomorrowland. Like, you're right there
Mhm.
by Space Mountain.
Okay,
If
here's
that's
my
not your
question.
jam, I wouldn't pick. I wouldn't pick the
Is
Contemporary. I
that
personally, I would. I still think the Poly's the best.
would you say that's because we exclusively stay Poly Club? Like, here's my question ultimately. Is the Contemporary, aside from all the bells and whistles of being able to look out and see Tomorrowland and having all these high-end restaurants and just having, like, less people than, say, a value resort, what about the hotel room or the hotel experience makes it different than staying at a value? Because you also stayed at a value on this
Well,
trip.
yeah, I was. Well, it's little things like you have 2 sinks and you have a hot and water and a cold water nozzle for the sinks. You have a bigger bathroom. You have bigger closet space at the deluxe resort. I had 2 queen size beds in my room at the Contemporary, and when I moved to Art of Animation, I just had 1 queen size bed. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, it is a nicer room, right?
Mhm.
It's not opulent, but it's a nicer room at the Contemporary than at the Value. But I would not. I mean, look, it's nothing against the Contemporary. If someone said we're gonna give you a room at the Contemporary for a trip, I would take it. But if
Right.
I had to say if I'm gonna spend my money on a Contemporary room or the Poly, I'm gonna go with the Poly every time. There was
Right. I
nothing about
think
the Contemporary that made me go, "Oh wow, I need to
we
do
have to
this
come
every
here.
time I come
Yeah.
here."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think,
Right.
like, one of the
And I'll be honest
huge
with you, I
sep
even did a little bit of walk. I'm
No,
sorry.
you
I
go.
was just gonna say I also walked through the Grand Floridian before I left, and I still think the
That's cool.
Poly I would prefer the Poly over the Grand Flow.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak
But
to
that's
that because 'cause I've never stayed at the Contemporary or the Grand Flow. I think the Grand Flow is an entirely different, like, animal altogether that is almost incomparable to everything else. But I think the main difference, at least for us, between the Contemporary Classic and the Polynesian is that we stay club at the Poly, and when you stay club at the Poly, you get really intimate hands-on service. There's only what, like 400 people in the Poly Club? There's only like 100 rooms, 200
well, the
rooms
Contemporary
versus
has a club.
staying right, but you weren't staying Contemporary Club, you're staying
No.
Contemporary regular person.
Right.
And when you stay regular person, you're just the regular person. You get the normal housekeeping, you get no special, like, amenities like the breakfast club lounge area. There's no, like, personal, like, free waters or sodas for you like there are at the club, like and I
Mhm.
think, like, a huge I think what you pay for when you stay deluxe and you don't stay club is you pay for the convenience of being right by the park. You pay for the convenience of
Right.
the ability to walk to Magic Kingdom. That's what you're paying for, versus when you're paying for club, you're paying for that plus the amenities of staying deluxe, and I think that, um, truly, the only difference between, like, a moderate resort or maybe a deluxe resort when you stay completely normal, like, nothing else special, is that added, like, decor, I guess, in the hotel room itself and the
Mhm.
convenience, because it is
Right.
inconvenient to stay value or inconvenient to stay
Right.
moderate, but I don't know. I've
Well,
only ever been
yeah.
Poly Club or Pop Century, so I'm kind of
Right.
out on the opinions there.
It's all good. It's all good. So, and I'm keeping track of our time. We're about 30 minutes into this recording, so we've probably only got about 10 or
Okay,
15 minutes left.
continue going on about the institute.
So
What was day 2
well, I would
like?
say,
Your first full day.
well, day 2 we went to. So every day we had a field trip. I didn't know we were going to do this, but every day we had a field trip to a park to see the things we were studying and learning about in action. And so I'm not going to get into the details of the curriculum of the course, right? Because I
Mhm.
think that's kind of boring, and maybe I can share that on the Patreon side. But the general experience was fantastic every day. It started at 7:30 a.m. with breakfast. They gave us it was coffee, water, soda available all day in the back of the room for free. There were snacks midway through the day. A really wonderful lunch was served every day, a filling meal. And then later in the afternoon, a heavy snack. Like we had churros one day. We had, um,
That's really
I
awesome.
can't even remember what we had, all kinds of stuff, right? So, but the meals were fine. We had plenty of food. They did not feed us dinner every day. We were on our own for dinner each night. But was he entered Animal Kingdom through the regular entrance in the front, like everyone else did. And part of it is they want us to see how people were entering and how they were being engaged. So it was part of the learning to watch the entrance and see where was
Right.
security and where was this. So a few things I learned that, and we came in through again backstage. No, we did. We came in through backstage. That's right. We came in through backstage and entered where Rainforest Cafe is, and then walked around to where the front of the park is. So we did not enter like everybody else. We did enter through backstage. We got to see the back of Pandora. By the way, all of Pandora's rides, the 2 rides in Pandora, Flight of Passage and Naviruta Journey, are all housed in the same giant building. They just built one big building, and both rides are actually in the same exact building. I did not know that. But a few things I learned, like when you walk into Animal Kingdom, the reason when you walk into Disney parks on the right hand side, there's usually places right away to buy like souvenirs and stuff. And they do that because most people go to the right when they walk in, right? They stay to the
Hmm.
right, they stay to the right. So that's where the wheelchair you can purchase are over there, or the stroller purchases are all on the right side. They talked to us about security and walking around and seeing a few things in the park designed to keep guests safe. um, Again, there were no rides on any of the field experiences. Like they didn't take us on
Yeah.
any rides. So we walked all the way around a little bit of Animal Kingdom, looked at the theming because we talked about place, and how important the theme and the story was to the customer experience. And we left through Pandora. We went backstage out in a Pandora area. We exited where some cast members could exit, and we went back to our bus backstage. I will say this: Animal Kingdom is the biggest park. You could fit all of Magic Kingdom and all of Epcot. And I think most of Hollywood Studios would still fit in Animal Kingdom. And Walt
That's
Disney
crazy.
World as a place is the size of San Francisco. I learned that on this trip too.
Wow.
Twice the size of
It's like
Manhattan, the size of
bigger
San
than
Francisco.
the entirety of Vermont. That's
I'll also
crazy.
say that Disney has only developed for its parks and resorts a third of the property they own. A third of it is reserved as natural wildlife to never be touched, and there's still a whole
Okay.
nother third that they own that they could develop on. I learned that on this
Do you
trip as
think
well.
they're
So
act Never mind, that's a stupid question.
that's okay. Well, what were
I was
you,
just
you
Do you
sure?
think
Go
that
ahead.
they're actually gonna commit to keeping that 1/3 wildlife, or do you think it
Yes.
will grow into something that is just so big they have
No.
no choice but to
It's going to be.
expand?
It's going to stay. It's going to stay natural. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
I
not
I
going to
think
mess
they're
with it.
just
They look
gonna
pretty
tear
good.
down what they have and rebuild on the space instead of, like, expanding out more. Okay, so that was Animal
Right.
Kingdom. How was
So the
your
third
2nd
day's field
full day?
experience. So the second full day, the third day in total, was a trip to the Magic Kingdom. And that was pretty cool because
Very
when
cool.
we went in through the backstage area, which is actually used as an overflow area, and it was used to as an entrance for Mickey's Not So Scary. So it's both backstage and on stage depending on its use. And what I learned was if the gates are open and you can see the parking lot behind the backstage area, they consider that area backstage. But if those gates are closed and you can't see the stuff outside, it's considered on stage. But we
Huh.
came in through there right by
Is this
Tony's restaurant.
yeah,
We
so the
came in
area
through the
back
backstage
kind of
area right there
over
by
there. Yeah.
Tony's. Yeah. We walked around the hub. We didn't go into any of the lands. We sort of stayed in the hub, went towards Tomorrowland through Tomorrowland Terrace. They pointed out a few things here and there about cast members in place and why this is here and why this is there. Really cool, tour. And then it ended with us actually going down into the utilidors underground,
How?
where the
Where did
cast
you get
members are
into
all
the
are. So we went
utility?
down there.
Where's the entrance?
We
Like, how
went
did you get in?
down through an area near the Plaza restaurant. In that area, we went down.
Interesting. Okay. So you went down into
So we
the
went down.
tunnels.
We went down into the tunnels for a little while. I don't want to reveal too much about what's in the tunnels. They're not as wide as you think, but there are vehicles that are driving by. But there's cast members
Whoa.
there. I mean, they're on break. They're in break rooms. Some of them are on their phone. But they're not allowed to text. They're not allowed to shoot video or pictures down there. It is forbidden to record in pictures or videos down there for anyone.
That
But
is so
it's
interesting.
very set up to help people know where to go, what their job is. There's all the offices are down there. There's rooms everywhere, but it's just giant corridors. Like you're just walking in underground.
Are there,
It's
like,
really like
signs?
underground
Like, how do they
tunnels.
know where they are?
Signs are everywhere. There's signs
Okay.
everywhere, and there's all color coded. So based on the color of the wall, we knew we were still in Main Street. And there was maps everywhere. And it says, if you're trying to go here, you're here. You want staircase number 26, and 26 goes to this restaurant,
That
and
is
22
so
goes to this
cool.
store. And
I
everything's
wonder how
labeled and
it
everything is clear.
I wonder how they
I will
maintain
say
it because Florida
it's clean.
floods. Well, I
It's
mean,
it's
more like,
clean.
how
And
do you build a basement in Florida? You wouldn't build a basement in Houston or Galveston, so why would you build one
I
in
think it
Orlando?
wasn't, that's the ground level. The Magic King's actually built on top
Whoa.
of it. So it's not really underground. It's at surface level. But the Magic
That's
Kingdom is
crazy.
built when you're in the Magic Kingdom, you're actually on the second floor of what they built.
That is so cool. That is
I will say this: you had
so
asked me
cool.
before, and I'll share this on the show. You asked, "Did you see any, cast members that were playing with their best friends in costume?" I didn't see any of the traditional Disney characters there, but I did see two cast members that were obviously very, very good friends with a couple of Disney characters.
That's so
One
cool, bro.
was obviously a very close friend of Raya, who was in the parade that we had seen. And
Right.
another one was obviously a very close friend of Pocahontas.
That
So we did
is
see that down
so cool.
in the
I want you guys
utilidors.
to know that when I asked Papa this question, I actually said, "Did you see any, headless Mickeys?" No, that was not the way to pose that question, unfortunately. That is
We've
literally a
got
cool
less
thing.
than we've got about less than 10 minutes on this recording, so I wanted
Do we
to
have till 42?
we have like 45, 47.
Okay, let's just, like,
That's
go ahead
fair.
and wrap it up then.
So
We're
we're at
using,
38 minutes. Well, so I want to go to the next day. So the next day, and I want
yeah,
to show some of the things that we did. So the next day, the field trip was to Hollywood Studios. We walked all around Hollywood Studios.
I
We
love
spent
Hollywood
some
Studios.
time in Galaxy's Edge. They showed us the R2D2 and C3PO tracks on the ground. These are actual tracks that they made. They brought over
Hmm,
from Lucasfilm to make the tracks.
I knew that, I
They
did know
talked
that.
about they talked about how Disney Hollywood Studios is different because cast members go everywhere because it's like a movie set. And when you're on a movie lot, people of different movies and genres are all over the place. So they're not as worried about cast members from one section of the park being in a different section of the park and having a different costume on because that's part of the vibe. I will say
Right.
this quick trivia question. The Mickey on top of the globe when you walk into Hollywood Studios, how there's that Mickey that kind of spins on
Yes.
top of that little pavilion.
Yes.
Mickey's right ear is taller than his left ear. And the reason for that is they put a lightning rod in that ear so that if the lightning strikes that area, Mickey's going to take one for the team because his ear is a lightning rod.
Like for
I
the
learned the
whole property or just for
for
Hollywood
that
Studios?
area, the property for that area. So the entire time
Whoa.
we were there, they would ask us questions in our classes. They would get us to engage because a lot of it was trying to get the members of the class engaged during the classroom sessions. And they had these wonderful trinkets as as sort of an incentive, right, to participate. And every time you participated, you got a treat. And so they gave all these little plastic character treats.
Oh.
So I got Mickey and a Donald and a Goofy and a Pluto. And that was one
Oh, you
day. And the other day
participated
was like
so
a Pixar
much.
theme. So Pixar theme, I had Mater and Lightning
Mhm.
and Nemo. I got a Nemo
Nemo. Cold.
and a Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, gotta
Buzz.
love
And
Buzz.
then one day was princesses, and I got a Tiana, which is really cool, and
Gorgeous.
a Snow White.
Love
So
it.
those were
That
some of
is
the
so
things we
cool.
got. And at the end of the course, when we finished and we graduated and we went into uh, the room that we met in the beginning, they had all these things set out. And one of the things they had set out was everyone got their own Disney Institute graduate
Huh.
ears.
Very
So I got
cool.
my graduate ears. It says Disney Institute on there. And we had a special guest join us when we got our little diplomas in our ears. The
Was
boss
it
himself,
Sir
Mr.
Michael
Mickey
Mann?
Mouse, came out. Oh, no, Mickey
Awesome.
Mouse came out and he took pictures with everyone, and it was delightful, and everybody had a great time. So, yeah, that was my Disney Institute experience.
That's amazing. I love it.
Some
I
other stuff that
I
happened on
hope
the
we get to
trip
talk
that we
about
can
this
share
more.
with our patrons.
That is awesome. I'm so excited to hear about it. So, I'm glad you had a good time. This is so
Did have a good
fascinating to
time.
me. Did they
I
talk
am
about the
definitely
college
going to go
program at
back
all?
and do the other. I'm going to go back and do the other courses that I have not done yet. And I will also tell you, you only have to be 18 years old to do a Disney Institute course.
I'm
And
18 years
so
old.
I thought that maybe Disney Assembled should do a Disney Institute course at some point together.
Mhm.
So there you go.
You guys can help fund our Disney Institute course by sending us a delightful gift on buyusadolewhip.com, or you can subscribe to the Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/disneyassembled or head up our website disneyassembled.com and click that Patreon button. But the most important thing that you guys can do to help the show out truly, truly, truly is to just interact with us on social media. And that includes answering this week's Disney trivia question. So the question for this week is, which character from the 100-Acre Wood often refers to Eeyore as Donkey Boy? Is it Tigger, Rabbit, or Roo? So if you guys know the answer to that question, please send us an email at disneyassembled@gmail.com or send us a message on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all at Disney Assembled. But again, if you guys want to support the show further, link to our TeePublic, Patreon, buys a Dole Whip, all of that is on the website, disneyassembled.com. Make sure to go check it out. Also on the website is our newly renovated essay blog portion.
Blog
And I'm
articles,
sure
yeah,
there will probably be something about the Institute and Papa's trip on there
absolutely.
coming up soon. So if you want to read a little bit more about the trip or the Institute, check out disneyassembled.com.
Yeah, please do that. We really appreciate it. We have a YouTube channel as well. This episode may be on YouTube since I had some things to show. So check us out at Disney Assembled on YouTube. And of course, share the episodes with your friends. Tell your friends about us, and that rating and review. If you're able to do that, we'd really appreciate it. All right, Mimi, we're running out of time. We have to wrap this
And
thing up.
also Hook 'em Horns, #1 in the nation. Thank you very much. Goodbye, Georgia. You guys suck. Hook 'em. Okay, that's it.
If you're listening to us from the state of Georgia, we think
No,
you're
no. If
just
you're listening to us and you attended Georgia, take the
you
L.
get a pass. You get a pass.
Hook
All
'em.
right. All right,
All right.
let's wrap
Thank you
this
guys
thing
so
up.
much
We
for
hope this
listening.
episode brought a smile to your face, some extra magic to your day, and all important sprinkle of pixie dust to your week. We thank you so much for listening. And until next time, see
See
you
you
real
real
soon.
soon.